Yes, everybody, welcome back to the channel. We got a new little series coming over the next few weeks, over the course of May. We're going to be building classic formations together. So I'm going to go through the process from player instructions, player roles, team instructions, then we're also going to see how it fits in FM. So today, we're going to start with the classic 4-4-2 used by Ancelotti, Arrigo Sacchi, Alex Ferguson, Sven-Goran Eriksson, Big Sam, Sean Dyche, one of my all-time faves, Brian Clough. So we're going with a classic 4-4-2. We're going to make sure it's nicely balanced with a couple of different roles as well, just so we are completely the same on both sides. But we're going to make sure the fullbacks complement each other nicely, the two strikers complement each other, and also the two central midfielders. We're not doing a cams. We're not doing 4-2-4s. This is a classic 4-4-2. Now, the tactic is available for the Patreons. Go check it out. Link in the description. Big shout out to all the Patreons as well that are on the screen right now. Thank you very much for your support. The support in 2024 has been absolutely incredible. Such a massive impact you guys are currently having on me and my family with the support you're showing on there. So if you'd like the tactic download, go check it out. Link in the description. Okay, so for this series, we're going to be using Inter Milan. I always use Inter Milan. It's one of my favourite teams, and they've got a nice balance of players and fullbacks that can do a variety of different roles. So we're going to use Inter Milan to start with, and then we're going to build it through. Now, if you would like to see the next tactic for next week on the channel, whether it be a 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1, maybe you want a certain playing style with a formation, maybe a classic Italian catenaccio, maybe a classic Italian 3-5-2, maybe a basic 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1, 4-2-4, 4-3-3 with three strikers. Whatever it is, let me know down in the comments. Let's get into it.
Ladies and gentlemen, England will be playing 4-4-2.
Okay, now we're going to play quite aggressive. We're going to do the classic. Obviously, in the 90s, a lot of 4-4-2s and kind of play with the mid-block, but it's FM, so we're going to push it. We're going to go high. We're going to get the two strikers chasing and hunting down. We're going to get the two wingers kind of going and pressing the fullbacks as well and being really aggressive in there with some of the player instructions. So we'll do a sweeper keeper. We're just going to put it on defend. We're actually going to be really basic with that. Someone who's just going to be a little bit more cautious than a sweeper keeper on attack, but also would like to play out from the back when we can. Now, we're going to do the classic kind of destroyer and defender. And what we are going to do is we're going to have a ball-playing defender on cover. So that ball play, now we might actually tweak some of the roles to suit Inter Milan's back four, but what we're going to do is go for the classic ball-playing defender on cover, someone who's just going to drop off, and then we are actually going to go no-nonsense centre-half on stopper. So we've got that elegant centre-half alongside that guy who would really go in, win, be aggressive, and dominate. We're also going to go with that no-nonsense centre-back. We're actually going to go tackle harder as well. Now, fullbacks, we're going to give ourselves a little bit of a balance here. Now, because of the wide midfielders, because Inter Milan don't play with wingers, they've obviously for a last 3 seasons, they've played 3-5-2 under Inzaghi. We haven't got great options out on this side. So I am going to go Dumfries, and he likes to play as a winger. He's going to be our winger on that side. All right, so he's going to be a winger. So for here, I'm kind of thinking that we don't need to be gung-ho. I don't want to really do an inverted. We're not going to do anything really fancy. But what we are going to do is give it a little bit of a classic Gary Neville. So full back on support, and we're going to go with the player instruction as well. Just sit narrow. So he'll help out the centre-half a little bit. Dumfries is going to keep the width. We're going to ask him to run wide with the ball as well. We don't want him cutting in here. We want him going 1v1 down that right side. We know that he's obviously right-footed. So there's our first little duet. Pavard will do actually a really good job there as a full-back on support with Dumfries in front. Let's just put our goalie in, Jan Sommer. Ball-playing defender. Ooh. I tell you what, it might be even better doing the cover version this side. And it probably even works better for our shape over the other side, actually. A no-nonsense centre-half. Bastoni is actually left-footed. So you would be better in there as the ball-playing defender on cover. And then have someone, let's have Defree in there as the stopper. Now, the left side, we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to be a little bit creative on this side. So I'm imagining that right-hand side, we've got that real directness. On the left-hand side, we're going to play with either an inverted winger or an advanced playmaker. One out of the two. You could do both, but from this left wing back role, we're going to go for it. We're going to go wing back on attack. All right, wing back on attack, stay wider as well, and that obviously is DiMarco at Inter Milan. He'll be awesome at going round that left-hand side. So because he's going round the left-hand side, we're going to do something a little bit different. We don't need our winger doing up and doubling up here. We've got two choices. We could go inverted winger on support, or we could even go wide playmaker as well. Now, I like the idea of having a wide playmaker. It was one of my favourite roles a couple of years ago in the game. So we're going to go wide playmaker. We're going to go Çalhanoğlu, and I'll tell you what, we'll put it on attack as well. Now, what's the difference between the attack? With the attack duty, the player will come and sit inside. Yeah, so we want him in this advanced position here. And then with that one as well, we've obviously already got sitting narrower on. We also want dribble more on because we want him to drive into these areas here. So we've got that overlap around that left-hand side. Now, this is where we're going to go with the classic 6 and the classic 8. So we need that. Do we need a creator in there? Now, I think this one for me is going to be box-to-box midfielder. We want that classic 8, don't we? So prevalent in a two-man midfield, a classic number 8 box-to-box midfielder. We'll put that in as Nicola Bilella. And then this one's an interesting one. I personally would probably go for something like a DLP on support. Now, I know we've got that wide playmaker. We might have to change it depending on how that plays out, but I think we can go with that. All right, what we are going to do as well, we're going to pull a Çalhanoğlu as that DLP on support. DiMarco really likes the left-hand side, and Carlos Augusto really likes playing as a wing-back. So there is our 4. Now, I do think as well from the DLP, do you need to put it on defend? We think we do because we're not going to potentially get much with the wide playmaker, the box-to-box as well, because of Barella's traits, moves into channels, gets forward whenever. He's going to be vacating that central area, so it'd be nice just to hold in there. And then we've got that playmaker to sweep outside, and he's not right next to that wide playmaker who's hopefully going to be getting into these areas. Now, the front two, we want the classic Niall Quinn, Kevin Phillips, big man, little man. So we're going to go advance forward alongside a target forward. TF, AF, we're going to have balls coming in from that right-hand side as well. Thuram, he says he can't do it, but he's a big boy, right? He's 6'4". Of course he could do it. And then Lautaro Martinez. Player instructions. I would put move into channels because it is Thuram. You do want him if they're quite mobile. You do want that, you don't want that John Parkin kind of striker who's just going to stand in the middle. You do want that guy, you do want that striker to work the channels a little bit. In particular as well, because DiMarco will go out there, won't look to chase him behind to any long balls. Potentially, Thuram might have to do, so we'll go with that. So that gives us a nice little base of 4-4-2. So we're going to do positive mentality. In possession, just fairly wide. Nothing too crazy, fairly wide. We're going to pass into space because we're leaving those two strikers up high. So I'm really hoping we can counter-attack there. Passing directness, we're going to go slightly more direct as well. And we're going to focus play down the wings and playing out of defence. We don't really want to go through that midfield, even though we've got Barella in there. I'm hoping Çalhanoğlu will drop off, get on the ball, and then find our wide players, maybe release a Thuram, who's maybe drifted into a wide area, get that overlapping around that left-hand side. With that, we are going to try and do that overlap. So we're really going to try and push that overlap as much as possible. And because we've got Thuram in there, we're going to play 4-4-2. We want to cross early and play for set pieces. Bastoni is tremendous in the penalty area. They've scored lots of goals from set pieces into Milan. You'd naturally want that with the players that we've got available. You could, if you wanted, change them as you are. I generally leave them blank. We are, as I said, going to go higher tempo, but we will waste time sometimes just to take the edge off. That is a lot of player instructions. In transition, a little bit more basic. Because we're pressing high, we're going to have a high line. We are going to counter press, and we want a counter. We do want a counter because we've got those two players up front, so trying to release them as quickly as possible might be good. And we are going to try and build from the back, take short kicks, but distribute quickly. And then out of possession, high press, absolutely. Stay nice and compact though. Can you see? I've got much higher line, so we're as compact as possible. We get stuck in. Classic 4-4-2, we've got to get stuck in. And we're actually going to be really aggressive, step up more, and we're also going to trap outside. So we're going to let the ball go out to the left-hand side, and then we're going to press. So with that, back into here, we're just going to have our two wingers. If we edit, mark specific position, and we're going to get them to mark the fullbacks. So we're going to get them going out and marking the fullbacks and being really aggressive. I'm not going to do mark tighter as yet, but I really want them two to be aggressive off the ball. And in opposition instructions, tight mark the fullbacks, just like that. And we'll also trigger press the fullbacks as well. What we might have to do is drop the centre forward. And one of the options that it says it never likes it in the game, and your assistant manager always likes to take it off. But if they're going to be playing a 4-3-3 and playing with a holding midfielder, we might need to change that and have him marking that DM. Depending on if we're struggling a little bit, but we'll be able to tell when we play our opening game of the season. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go on holiday for pre-season, see what happens, and then we're going to play a couple of games, see what we need to tweak, and then the tactic file that is available for you Patreons will be the completed version. Okay, so we're back. We've done pre-season. What I did do was set the team tactics, obviously the 4-4-2 that we've done. I also did play with the current 11 as well, and as you can see, the team has done pretty well. We've had a 3-2 against Atalanta, which is interesting because an Italian opponent, but away from home against them in a friendly isn't too bad at all. By the looks of it, there was a couple of little changes in there as well. Right, so we're going to play against Roma. We're going to see how it looks in the match engine and see what maybe tweaks. Be interested to see. I'm more, not worried, but the more I think about that left-hand side, that's potentially one where we may change. We might even go, so that might have to become maybe an inverted winger on support, maybe. And we might even ask Dumfries to stretch the play as a winger on attack, but we'll see how we set up. I can't imagine it being a possession-based tactic. We've had 56% against Lugano. Porto, when we won 4-1, 4-0, 58%. Lecce, I think this is there. Lecce, 62%. Okay, so we are dominating the ball a little bit. Atalanta, yeah, 40%. Obviously, they're a ball-hungry side. 60-40. Yeah, possession over the littler teams. And I think when we play these bigger sides, I imagine it's going to be a little bit different. Okay, set piece wise as well. We're going to go quite old school. So we're going to go player marking. We're going to go defend both posts. I also want to defend the box and not worry about counter attacks. Near post, and we'll be balanced in attack with in-swingers. So obviously, I was a classic 4-4-2. They're playing with their 4-2-3-1. Right, so it'll be interesting to play against those defensive midfielders. Are we going to get caught out a little bit? That is a worry of the 4-4-2. Obviously, the strongest points of the 4-4-2, good in wide areas, get overloads in wide areas, two strikers pinning back the two centre-halves. But main weakness, despite the quality that we have in there, is those two central midfielders being isolated against their three. So we're defending quite high. We're defending very high, look. We're really compact. You need that with a 4-4-2 to make sure as well, because of that little overload they've got in there with that 4v3. Obviously, if the three are closer together, our two wide players, we've actually asked Dumfries to stay wide, which is fine. Obviously, he's marking that left fullback. But what we might need to do is, if we get started to get overrun, is just ask him to tuck in a little bit. There's that DM. So there's the one that they'll be looking to exploit a little bit. But we've kept good shape and we've pushed them away. See, that's the issue, look. It's bypassed two plays straight away. And now Hakan's going to come out. Are we going to win it? We do. We've won it nicely. Carlos, left fullback, into Thuram, working the channels. Into Lautaro! There we go. Bang, bang. Win the ball and play really good. The target man coming forward. The target man pulling off into the channel as well. Lovely early cross. Hit early crosses. And Lautaro is there to finish it. First chance. First goal, the 4-4-2 is up and running. This is what I love with a two-man striker force. Obviously, the blueprint video that I did on the channel recently was all about how I would want to play if I looked after a team again. And the idea, I think, of just having a front two, I think is, teams are now pressing as well in 4-4-2s. City do it, Arsenal do it with sort of like Odegaard and Havertz been the two pressers. De Bruyne is often up alongside Haaland as well in a press in a 4-4-2. So I think it's going to come round where they may not go to a straight 4-4-2. Having said that, Newcastle did it at the weekend with Isaac and Callum Wilson up front. But I do love it because it gives us this, where one's allowed to move freely into a wide area and then we've still got that threat. We've actually got a 1v1 there. Well, watch how the play develops. So it's here. Obviously, we're asking to play. Now, if we were just playing with a one-man strike force, we probably wouldn't be able to clear that ball. If we did, it would come straight back because you'd still imagine probably the lone striker to be maybe here in between the two. and then he would struggle and probably get beaten to the ball by the left centre-half Indica. Right, we'll see where this takes us. Down. And once again, it gives you the opportunity to break. We've done really well there. We're in. This could be a great goal. Oh, it's a good save. It's a good save from the goalie, but what a move. We have got play from set pieces on as well. Looking to cause a little bit of havoc in FM with those near post crosses. We started the game. We look dangerous, don't we, in the opening 10 minutes. Pavard, full back on support, getting forward. Just picks the right times to do it. Obviously, he's not a Dumfries kind of player, so his traits will be a little bit maybe more conservative than a Dumfries or who's the Colombian dude, Cuadrado, who's still there. But as you can see from their average positions already, really aggressive start from us. Not in touch with possession, but we're getting up the park, keeping them in their area. They're playing it out along the side, the back. That's absolutely fine. Right, DiMarco to Thuram, over. It's a cheeky short corner routine. Roma are yet to have a shot on goal as well. Right, Bastoni. Carlos. Jan Sommer. So he's on sweeper, keeper on defence. We'll play it out. Nice. Pavard. So this is a little bit narrower as well. Sitting a little bit narrower. And what that does is just helps us a little bit in build-up. It might just help the two centre midfielders out. That was my plan, to help the back four out, the two centre-halves out a little bit, and then also help out the two central midfielders. As you can see, they're quite narrow in there, so it's a little bit of a 3. And obviously keeping Dumfries out there isolated 1v1, he's going to have the pace and the power to beat that player. Hakan dropping off. Oh, they're doing it. Cheers, FM. It was looking good there for a second. Come on, Miles, sort that out. Right, here we go. Likening Hakan dropping right off. We have got him in that defensive role as well on defence, so just dropping off a little bit more. Gives him more time on the ball, I feel. His deeper position just opens out a little bit of space. He's got a nice little area there to work in. Right, we are pressing high. We're going to get it back. So you can see the two wingers are really occupying their two fullbacks, which is leaving us with still a 4v3 up there. Their defences have come really deep for the ball. Their central midfields have come really deep for the ball as well. Right, El Shaarawy, we're going to get it back. We're winning the ball back extremely well in the middle of the park. Hakan getting in those little spaces. Love it. In a position to beat the first line of press. Here's the second line of a press as well. It comes in, and we've beaten that one as well. We've taken another player out of the game. Paredes and Renato Sanchez. Barella's in. DiMarco, we're going to get that overlapping, Carlos. Here he goes. Bodies in the box. Barella, DiMarco, Hakan, Barella. Just over. Great move, though. Only 40% of the ball, but look at the average positions. We're right in there. We're dominating. Right, throwing right in our corner flag. Not how you normally like to see a highlight start, but we've worked it well. DiMarco. So just to say, I really want to... Let's target DiMarco and just see where he moves to. Right, we've worked it well. Dumfries. Barella. Are we going to win it? Christensen down this right-hand side. We need to stop it. We need to stop it. We're not going to stop it. They've scored. That's a bit disappointing because we've played really well up until that point. Goal does stand, and it's 1-1. Even though we're playing with wide makers, DiMarco's just... We just need to stop that cross. We just need to stop that cross. Did I put stop crosses on? No. Should be a fullback's job right that, though, to stop the crosses, but never mind. Right, away we go. Just before half-time as well. A little bit of a killer because we've played pretty well. I'm just keeping our eye on DiMarco. He's quite wide there. He's extremely wide. I would prefer him to be a little bit narrower, really. Let's see what he looks like when he plays an inverted winger. Right, here we are. DiMarco, that's your job, to tackle him. He's worked him a little bit. Okay, Lukaku coming in, overloading us in the middle there. Obviously, it's a team that's going to be really good at counter-attacking. Is this going to be an opportunity? Carlos. DiMarco. Thuram. Move into channels. Target forward if you can. It's a good strike. It's a good save from Rui Patricio. Good quick moves. None of this tiki-taka. It's 2 passes up the pitch. And try and getting the ball into the box as quickly as we can. So good half that. They've had 2 shots. They've had 62% of the ball, but done absolutely nothing with it. Apart from put that one in. We've had 10 shots, an XG of 1.15. Really high line as well, which you want. Nice and compact. I'm happy. If you've got any tactical suggestions as well, put them in the comments for the people that are downloading this or copying the tactic across. By all means, put your little thoughts and your little tweaks, what you would make, down in the comments. Always good to read. Oh, it's a good tackle. So we're breaking it up really well. Paredes has got a yellow card. Shock. Oh, shot free kick. This is nice. Pavard. I think it's offside. I think he's way offside, but we do like them short corner little routines. When you see a short corner routine or a short free kick routine come up in Football Manager, you know, oh, it's a goal. It's been given. Hands are in the air. You know that you're in trouble as a defending side. I don't think we can claim too much about this. I can't really take any credit, but we've deserved it. I'll take the credit for deserving to be in the lead. So the 4-4-2 is interesting because obviously that DLP drops off a little bit. And then Barella is just a little bit higher. So we've got pretty much a 4-1-3-2 with the three wider players quite high. Hakan dropping off and trying to get on the ball as much as we can. Obviously, we want to use him as much as we can, but Barella's so good on the ball, so that's okay. Dumfries has kept his width. He's cutting in though, even though we've asked him to stay wide. He's cut in there a couple of times. I just want him to drive at that left back. Hakan. He's nearly playing as much as a half-back as well, which is really good. I do find the DLP on defend a really good holder. I do find the support one just roams too much. It's a good opportunity again. If we bring that back. I do find the DLP on support just sometimes just leaves that midfield area a bit too much. But we've worked it nicely. Working both flanks. Carlos Augusto, really attacking left back. Obviously, really good movement from Thuram. Loving to work the channels a little bit. Would we call that a channel? I don't know. I don't know if we had moving to channels not on, would he make that run? Maybe not. Okay, Dumfries. Hakan, a little bit higher this time. Dropping back in, though, look. He's dropping back in. Oh, we've lost it. Are we getting counted on here? We are. Uaz in. Oh, we missed a tackle. Good save from Sommer. Dumfries is injured, but we have got, nicely, Juan Cuadrado who can come in on that right-hand side. Now, what we are going to do is we're going to shut up shop a little bit. We're just going to drop it down a little bit. So our high line is just going to go to a standard with a low block. Just see how we defend that. Maybe able to hit teams on the break. It just means that we aren't getting chased. We aren't getting caught high up the pitch. Okay, DiMarco, Pavard. Hakan again, sitting in that defensive role. Really good position. He's almost like an anchor and a half-back in that DLP role on defend. Right, just going to do a couple of little changes. We have got Sanchez and Arnautovic, which aren't a bad pair to come off the bench. We haven't really got a left winger, but we are going to let Mkhitaryan. We're not natural down that left-hand side. So I think it's a little bit of personal preference. I think because we've got the DLP, we don't maybe need that wide playmaker and we've got that creativity. So maybe that inverted winger on support, he'll still come in quite narrow and allow that wing-back to push on. Oh, we've been done by a set piece, boys. Near post set piece. 90th minute, 2-2. Never sit back, eh? Oh, shocking. Good XG, though, from us. 2.95 XG, 19 shots, 9 on target. A up, A up. Can we get a winner? Cuadrado. Oh, Rui Patricio's pulled off 3 great saves in this game, tipping it round the post. And there we go. What a game, it says. Full time, 2-2. We've had 20 shots. They've edged the possession, which we said, but I'm really happy with that. Disappointing that we've not been able to hold on to a win there. Set piece is always disappointing, but a good start. Right, we're going to move on to the second game. We're going to make a couple of little changes, though. We are going to put that one as the inverted winger on support. We're still going to ask him to sit narrower. Interested to see how that affects Barella. So, tell you what, we're not going to put that on. We'll leave that off because what I don't want him doing is going into that space that Barella really wants. So we'll leave that off for now. But what we are going to do is another player instruction. This time out of possession, we're going to stop crosses. Good tackle from Lautaro. We're getting that ball back. And then we're going to break out with Dumfries. Thuram, we should be 1-0 up. We are 1-0 up within 4 minutes. The counter-attacking is absolutely fantastic in a 4-4-2. With the player instructions we've got on, the team instructions, passed into space, a little bit more direct as well. Counter-attack adds up to some tremendous counter-attacking. Boom, Thuram finishes 1-0 after 4 minutes. Now, this should be one of the games where we actually have more possession. So we're pressing, we're working. I'm not going to drop off the press either. We're just going to keep pressing. I think one thing we could do is, to make us a little bit more solid, is with the wide players, because we've got that player instruction of go and press and mark the the fullbacks. To keep that bank of four in, what we could do is change the opposition instructions so we don't trigger press the fullbacks. And then what we could also do as well is not have them man marking them positions, those fullback areas. And that'll just help us keep that tight shape. And then maybe play a little bit narrower. But we're like, look how compact we are in there. Where's the striker? There's Lautaro. Dumfries. Yeah, we're nice and compact. They're going to really struggle to play through us, which you want in a 4-4-2. You don't want to be too open. We're nice and compact from, there's only about, 20 metres. Very Arrigo Sacchi style, this. From back to front. Early ball into the box. It's 2-0. There we go. I was just about to say, go Carlos, put it in the box. We've got Dumfries at the back stick. I think one good thing with Dumfries as well, he's quite physical. He's quite a unit. So he's going to be always a threat against a little fullback. Nice knocking. We've got good box occupation. DiMarco, the inverted wingers in there. We've got 4 players in the box. We've worked it nicely out wide, and Dumfries coming in at that back stick. Hit early crosses. Obviously, there's a few things we'll talk about at the end, what kind of profile of play you do need for certain positions. And funny enough, Frosinone, we've dominated the game. They've had 5 shots, only 1 on target, XG of 0.37, but they've still had more passes. But if we look at the stats in terms of, the heat map, it's actually a bit 50-50. They're playing really narrow, but that definitely should help us in those wider areas. We're quite happy to push the ball out there when we've got 2 players staying wide. And what you could do at times as well with the DiMarco role, what we could actually do is have him start wide and then get him to cut inside. So that's another option. Obviously, you won't get as many overlaps. I suppose you would if he starts wide, then cuts in. You could maybe do that. Have that as a winger on a support with the player instruction, cut inside with the ball. Cut inside with the ball, has to play wide to come into central areas when running with the ball, driving side towards their goal. So you would still create an overload like that. But I do like the idea of him just being a little bit narrower. Does help those central midfielders out. Counter-attacks, transitions when we lose the ball, generally would be in a better position to help out, because you would imagine him to be a little bit more narrower, a little bit more central. Right, and we've just made it 3-0. Watch the move here. So the fullback on the ball, into Hakan dropping off. Quick pass into DiMarco, who's come off the line as well, which you might not get if you had a natural winger. Barella moving into that half-space channel, into Thuram, into Lautaro. Carlos on that overlap, the left fullback, and Lautaro getting in there as an advanced forward. Wonderful sweeping move. Bit like Manchester United-esque that. Sure, there was a few goals like this whenever would cross it, and then Wayne Rooney would come in and sweep home. Okay, so we said that we wouldn't do the changes with the line, but what I am going to do is we're going to take that off, and we're going to take that off, so not going down and pushing down and pressing the fullbacks. And what we'll do as well, in possession, I'm just going to stay nice and wide. We're just going to stay nice and narrow, sorry. Okay, we're into stoppage time. It's been a really quiet. Since I've made those changes, nothing has happened up until now. So I think it could be a nice way of really killing the game. Narrower, taking your two wingers off, pressing the fullback, so we keep that 4-4-2 shape as much as we can. Nice. Thuram. Cross. Lautaro. It's a great move. Once again, Thuram just drifting off into that wider area. What you maybe wouldn't get with a 4-3-3, because you'd have your wide player like here. Thuram pulling off, and what he's doing, he's pulling out a centre-half, look. It's pulled off a centre-half, and because we've got Cross early on, the other centre-halves and the fullback can't get in quickly enough to mark Lautaro, and he finishes to make it 4-0. So there you go, 4-0, absolute. Oop, they're not going to be happy with that, but don't worry, we're finishing it. We're not going to go again. 4-0. Got done in possession, though, interestingly. So not overly reliant on possession, which is good, because it's something a little bit different. Now, the profile of player that you want, for me, a solid right back or a solid full back, obviously you can flip it either way. If you're going to combine your wingers like I have, obviously this one has to be a little bit more direct. I do like Dumfries, 6'2" as well. I do like a sort of like a not defensive wing, but yeah, I do like these guys who could play wing back, who are going to be really aggressive and high down that right-hand side. And then obviously, hopefully, Dumfries as well, because of his height, is going to get in the back stick. The other side, you need that really attacking fullback to go around with maybe a little bit more of a creative player. You know, by all means, put an AP in, a wide playmaker in there. An inverted wing on support works really well. You've got your stopper, you've got your ball player, you've got your aggressive defender. Your 6 and your 8, obviously going to be someone who is decent on the ball. Hakan's defensive attributes are actually pretty good. 13, he's playing as a holding midfielder this season. So you do need someone who is defensively quite good. You're not going to be able to play an advanced playmaker in there. You know, you're not going to... Bernardo Silva would say that he could do it in the game, but he would probably be no good at it just because of his defensive duties. Barella is an ideal box-to-box, that classic 8. You know, you need greens, good numbers, all around in all 3 areas, technical, mental and physical, for a good box-to-box. And obviously 2 strikers. I do love the big man, little man kind of combo. Obviously Martinez, 5'9", but he's great in the air. And then if you're going to get that target forward in, I think if you're going to get a target forward in, I think the classic days of, like, as I said, a John Parkin, Peter Crouch, think of more target men, Jan Koller, those days are kind of done where they can't really work the line. So you're naturally going to have probably quicker players, but Thuram, really good. So that player instruction, guys, of moving to channels really helps with those counter-attacks and leaving, hopefully, Martinez isolated like we saw with that 4th goal against Frosinone, where he could then get in ahead of that other defender and tap that space left by Thuram, who's pulled out that centre-half. All right, guys, there it is. I'm just going to save it now. Classic 4-4-2. There you go. Let me know which tactic you'd like to see next on the channel in the Build a Tactic series. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Take care. See you later.